Hey traders, Raghee here, and in today's video we're going to talk about relative performance and what it means to understanding when there is a significant drop in the market and using that as a gauge to understand how patient you may need to be for mostly intraday trades. So what you're looking at right now, and I know it looks like a lot, but what this is a layout that I created to understand what I call the boat and tides analogy. And so we have the larger narrative, in this case, either the QQQ ETF, or I could easily have put the NQ futures contract here. And then in order of weighting, I have the top 11 names listed here. So I've got the tide, as I call it, over here, the individual boats of varying size. Now the boats are going to be based on weighting, right? How heavily weighted they are. And so we just list them in order from 1 to 11. That just happens to be what fits. And that actually works out really well to encompass the major weighted stocks within most ETFs and sectors. Some don't even make it past 5 or 6, in terms of significant weighting, because just a few stocks can oftentimes be the bulk of the weighting of an ETF or index. All right, so this is the boats and tide layout. So one of the things that happened earlier, and what I'm going to do right now, is change all of these to a 1-minute time frame. And a lot of you know at this point what was the leader to the downside. When the NASDAQ was melting down, this is where, when I'm day trading in the morning and I'm trading the NAS or I'm trading the S&P, one of the things to remember is that the way in which and the aggression with which I will trade a stock is really going to be based on not just understanding the index itself, but also the heavily weighted stocks within it. In this case, that means looking at most definitely the most heavily weighted stocks in that futures contract or in that index. Whether you want to go QQQ or NQ really is irrelevant. It's going to be the same set of stocks. And Microsoft for sure led the charge to the downside. So here's what I know. Until Microsoft stops selling off, until Microsoft levels out, it's going to be pretty difficult to enter the NASDAQ futures or even the QQQ on an entry long. Now, is that the same situation with, say, Apple or Amazon or even Facebook, your top 4 weighted names? Now, until they start to slow down their sell-off, you can see here, Apple was doing the same thing. So if you wake up in the morning to this, the bell rings, right? You're not waking up at 9:29, but if you are getting ready to day trade the market and you see Apple melting down, you see Microsoft melting down. Now, what do I mean by meltdown? We'll talk about more about this in the premium video, but what I'm talking about is, are we pushing the hourly price movement range for these stocks in terms of the typical point movement range in these names? Am I pushing the point movement range for these? And until this sell-off levels out or reaches a V-score support, until that happens, be very cautious about looking for long positions, because until the heavily weighted stocks find support, there's no way we're going to see support actually form in the broader average. And that's where a lot of traders will take a look at what's happening in the NAS or the S&P, as do I. But on another screen, I've got this multi-chart boats and tide layout to understand that there's no way that I'm going to see the NASDAQ QQQ or NQ slow down until those stocks are slowing down. So today, it was very much oh my gosh, look at Apple, Microsoft are doing, and just those two alone in terms of sell-off. And until I'm ready to buy one of those, it's going to be very tricky to want to get long the QQQ or the SPY, of course, and the NASDAQ and the ES, the NQ and ES futures. So this is where you really want to, as I say, crack open the index. This is a key part of the way that I day trade. And the fringe benefit of this is not only am I able to get better timed day trades in, but I can simultaneously set up day trades using options in those heavily weighted stocks. So not only is it a confirmation, it's more opportunity. And what's not to love about that? I'll see you in the next update.